Hello and welcome. My name is Jocelyn Foye. I'm the Executive Director to the Womxn Project, and I'm honored to be amongst all of you at the end of the celebration of Women's History Month. We have such an awesome opportunity to bond that month's celebration along with the gallery opening in the basement, and we thought we would bond those two. We're bonding it with the voices of women who fought to protect reproductive rights in Rhode Island for 27 years, up until now still actually, so more years. But we came on the scene as an organization for the Womxn Project, fighting for the Reproductive Privacy Act, and we thought it would be a great opportunity to hear from a few of the folks who fought for that right, and many of us followed in their tracks for the incredible work they did. So I'm going to invite former board chair of the Womxn Project and a longtime activist, Barbara Colton.
Hello, everyone, and I hope you didn't get too drenched getting here. For Jocelyn to say long time is a misnomer for me. So I will be very brief. I mean, if you want me to go through 50 years, I will be. I know you don't. There are some women here, and maybe some men, who were part of the lobbying effort after Roe v. Wade passed. When we were all, several of us were involved before Roe v. Wade, so that'll tell you how long I've been involved in this issue. But once Roe v. Wade passed by the Supreme Court and women had the right to get a safe legal abortion, an awful lot of the work we had to do then was fighting off the anti-choice people. Because as soon as Roe v. Wade became law, literally within a day, I think, right, Linda? The anti-choice people, and I refuse to call them right to lifers because I don't give a damn about my rights. We spent, I hate to think how many years fighting off really bad anti-choice bills. So for me to be here now, to think that we've been at this for well over 50 years, is to me appalling. Because now we not only have anti-choice people after the right to an abortion, but we have them after all our rights. So I think people need to be aware of that. We got a lot of wars going on in this country, but the biggest one for me is the war against women. So I'm going to stop there because I could go on for that one for a long time. But what I do want to say is that we must give a lot of credit to the people, the individuals, the organizations, the state reps and the state senators, most of whom are women, who saw the need to codify Roe v. Wade. And I just would like to emphasize the important work they did for a long time, and a lot of, I'll use nice language, grief they received from the anti-choice people and from their own colleagues in the House and the Senate. And to have that passed in Rhode Island, even before Roe v. Wade was overturned, was really spectacular, in my opinion, having seen the opposition in this legislature toward women's rights. So I'm not going to go any further except to say I hope all of you, if you know your state rep, if you know your state senator, anybody that you know that is involved in pushing that legislation, I mean the members of the legislature, anybody you know who was involved in that, because it wasn't easy, I hope you will thank them over and over again. They deserve a lot of credit. So thank you and good luck. I hope things get better, but I'm not too optimistic.
Secretary of State, would you care to join us? Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Jocelyn. I'm gonna try to be optimistic. So this morning I saw a morning consult poll that had the women's vote gap 4 points higher than it was in 2020 in favor of Joe Biden. So that's a really good sign, and that has increased since the State of the Union speech. But I think it will increase even more and more as the election season progresses. It's incredibly important, and I've said this multiple times in public spaces. You know, women, and in particular in South Carolina primaries, black women really saved the republic. And I truly believe that. Without women voters and black women voters in South Carolina in that primary, we would be in a much different situation than we are today, and things would be even more dire than they are today. I want to acknowledge my colleagues in government, former Representative Anastasia Williams, who's telling me to say it again, Senator Ujafusa, who's back there, Senator Valverde, who's there, my former colleague, Liana Kassar, and Edie Agello, who is the conscience of the House. And I met Rep. Kushner earlier here today. So Representative Agello may not remember this, but I remember it vividly. When I was elected in 2012, I was in a Democratic primary, a three-way Democratic primary. My other two opponents, Democrats, were pro-life, and they were anti-choice. But at the time, they were calling themselves pro-life, right? And they were anti-marriage equality. Democrats in East Providence. And so you can see how far we have come. I know we have far to go, but we've come far. Those folks, I don't believe, could win or be nominated. They didn't win, but it was close in 2012. And so this is an important issue to me. And the conversation Representative Agello and I had was basically this. She must have read my biography. I was a new kid in the House. And she said, you know, it's really important that you get out front here. And you're a man who is educated at a Catholic college who comes out and says that you believe in women's health, reproductive rights, the right to have an abortion. And so I did. And I followed Edie's lead on a number of things, and this issue certainly. So we're proud as the Department of State to host the quilt downstairs in our gallery space. We have been really intentional about making that gallery space a public community space. The Matter of Truth just left, which was a fantastic exhibit on the history of black Rhode Islanders from colonial times all the way to the present, and we're just honored that we can be part of this effort with the Womxn Project and this quilt. So thanks for giving me a couple of moments to speak to you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Secretary. Linda Kushner, do you care to join us, please?
When I knew I was coming here, I looked for my political jewelry because I always wore this, I thought very elegant rhinestone pin that said vote choice. And I looked everywhere and I couldn't find it. I must have given it to somebody. I cleaned a lot of drawers. But instead, I found this banner, which I proudly wore at one of the many demonstrations and rallies I went to, which I'm sure many of you went to. This one was in Washington in 1986. They were 89 too. I have all these buttons. And it was always the same thing, as Barbara said. We're fending off incursions on Roe v. Wade. And here in the State House also, I was here from 82 to 94, and mostly it was a defensive job. There were more bills that were introduced to put in time and to put in extra procedures and to put in extra hoops determined to discourage women from seeking an abortion. And by the way, the word abortion, whoa, right? Those of us who are over 30 years old, whoa, we never said abortion, just like we never said sex connected with gay rights. There were certain words you didn't say. And it amazes me that I see people marching out there with signs for abortion and abortion rights. But anyway, I think that's great. And I really want to celebrate the braveness, the brilliance of the women legislators, Anastasia, Edie, Gail, who led the fight to, to put into law the rights that Roe v. Wade created, and also to all the people who actually voted for it, because you can have all those leaders, but if you don't have the votes, you're in trouble, and to the organizations that came up and stepped up. So it's a great pleasure to be here. As I was thinking about it, I said I was from the bad old times, but I'm not sure now. I'm quite concerned. But isn't it great? What used to be a taboo word is now the word that's going to win us the election. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Ironically, today,
I forgot my most important line. I'm sorry. I actually did one thing that was not, when I was a legislator, that was not a defensive act. In 1993, I authored and led and successfully enacted a proactive bill to stop, in Rhode Island, to stop the government from interfering in women's reproductive choice. But, as you know, it always takes two houses to pass a bill. So, of course, that bill, which passed the House and was very celebrated, you were there, was killed in the Senate. And I think it wasn't until the great action 5 years ago that we actually had another proactive bill. So, thank you.
interestingly enough, today is International Destigmatize Abortion Day. So they want you to say the word a lot, everywhere, all the time. So today, say it some more. Okay, Rep. Anastasia Williams, would you care to join us, please?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You know, I'm back, baby. So that is not a good thing. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. That's a celebration. We're here for a celebration. It's 5 years. 5, okay? So first I want to give thanks for those courageous women before me and with me. Edie Agello, my heart, my sister from a long time, from another mister, but still the strong woman who stood up against those men, them guys, you know, they just guys. But carrying the torch for years on top of years. Fighting the fight, the good fight. Thank you, my sister. I want to, I also want to give credit to Speaker Mattiello. Yeah, hold on, baby. Hold on, darling. I believe in giving credit where credit is due. You can say, anybody can say, for what? But trust and believe, I was in that battle. I was behind those closed doors, and I had to deal with him. And I have to give him credit, because if he had said, no, it ain't, it wouldn't have been. So I have to. And as much as he is who he is and what he is, and we all know what that is, he had a nickel in the quarter, and I believe he needs to get that point. Also, Leader Blazejewski, Blaze, aka Blaze, for also believing in me being able to do this and standing side by side with me. Also, Senator, well, Honorable Judge Lynch Pryor. Let me tell you, that was another sister from another mister that was like, what? We're in a bottleneck here? Can we talk? I said, yes. She said, would you be willing to forgo X, Y, and Z so that I have a little idea? I'm like, I've been going and foregoing, and my ancestors been foregoing for decades and centuries. But I had to see the bigger picture, because my sister in government had a plan. She didn't share the plan, but she communicated with me. Do I trust her? And if I trusted her, I needed to forgo some things that were important to my community. And that portion of it was, in the Black and brown community, for many times the grandparents are kept responsible for the grandkids, and what happens is they needed to be protected, and there was no protection for them. But there was no protection for the bigger mass. So I agreed, and trust and believe, history was made, because my sister went in there, she presented her plan and was like, fellas, take a seat. I got a plan, and it's definitely foolproof. It's not going to fail. And she did what she had to do in the Senate and brought us where we had to be. And today we are celebrating 5 years. But if we did not have that communication, that cooperation, that collaboration, we wouldn't have this celebration. Okay? So I am elated today to be here. My sister Joyce called me and said, how about? And I'm like, well, heck yeah. Why? This is the first day I am returning to the State House since I've been gone. So it's a dual celebration because, baby, I'm back. So while there was ruckus in trying to fight the good fight, it wasn't against my sister who had had a plan for years. And I came forth with a new plan, believing that I could do the work that needed to be done. As some of you may know, women are always discarded. Let's get to the black woman, honey. They are non-existent. So the thought of really having a woman like me take this to where it needed to go was like between slim and none. So folks were not willing right away to embrace that I stepped up and out to do something. But my sister here, while taking the blows for the right reasons, said to me, I am with the ladies, and I'm paraphrasing, because we together collectively have fought this fight. But I want to hear what plan you have. No one had asked me that question. But mostly everyone was condemning me because I stepped out with a new plan and a new idea. But I felt that I could do it. And this was the time that if you feel it, you better take it like you own it. So when I say about giving Nick his due, trust and believe, we were asking every day to his secretary, what's his mood today? What is he doing today? You think there could be a conversation about this today? Because he was the man in charge, and he was a pro-lifer, anti-choicer, whatever, and all of these other ingredients are. But we had to work it. I had to work it. So when you say, there's many days and many reasons to say, about him, but I have to give him the credit. I need for you to stand up, please. Please. You know, everybody in here know her. And this sister was the one person who came to me and said, I want to hear your plan and your idea. So with that, I need for you to join me in giving her a round of applause. It was a joint effort with everyone, but I give credit where credit is due, because I felt defeated by my own sisters. But I am glad that eventually folks came on, gravitated, we worked together, we kicked butts. We did what needed to be done because of everything that former Madam Chair said. I don't want to tell the number of years, 50 years and beyond. Where are we today? It's 5 years that has passed. How many more do we have to wait before we can say, we can do it, we carry it, we invent it, we work it, we clean it? When is it going to be where our choices, our rights are going to be respected and lifted up? When? But I'm not going to take much time. I thank everybody, every organization, because folks, men, women, children, they came out. It was a moment of, oh my gosh, I could picture it right now. It was fun, scary, and victorious. So I just leave you with this. There's a lot of work to be done. And we cannot get tired. And we cannot leave it to the youngsters, because some of these youngsters are too entitled that they're like on their own time. And I say that respectfully, because they would have been in here right now presenting and saying, okay, we're going to take up the baton and we're going to move it forward. Well, they're doing their thing. So we need to do our thing, continue, and bring up however many we can to take it further and accomplish what needs to be done. Our work is not done, but the possibilities are there, and as long as we stay united, another, not 5 years, another couple of years, we will be back again celebrating the next success. With that, I say thank you to everybody that was part of it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, and let's do it. Let's do it.
Senator Bridget Valverde.
Hi everyone, I'm Bridget Valverde. It is really great to be here with you all today with so many years of experience in the fight for reproductive justice, reproductive freedom, the freedom to control our bodies and our futures. Because as we know, the fight continues, and we have so much work to do, both here in Rhode Island and, more importantly, nationally. The question that I get asked the most as a state senator is, like, what brought you here? What made you run for office? And, you know, it's a complicated answer. There are a lot of different things, but the number one thing was abortion. I started out coming to this building as a young mom with Planned Parenthood and the Womxn Project, coming up here advocating for the codification of Roe, and looking out at some of the people here in this audience who were state reps. And they were fighting the good fight from the inside, and a bunch of us knew that they needed help. They needed more people on their side in order to get the job done. And so I know that was one of the things that drove me to run for office. I know my good friend Rep. Kassar, that was a big factor in her running for office as well. And then we were finally able to get it done in 2019, my very first year in the General Assembly, thanks to Rep. Williams and her efforts, and all of us working together to really push it forward. And then, immediately after, we realized we needed to take the next step. We needed to make sure that right that we had enshrined in our state law could actually be realized by all Rhode Islanders who needed an abortion. And so Born from that was the Equality in Abortion Coverage Act, which removed the bans on state health insurance from covering abortion and allowed our state Medicaid dollars to pay for abortion services for our low-income Rhode Islanders. It was a 4-year fight, you know, from 2020, the first year that Rep. Kassar and I introduced that bill, until finally, you know, last spring, we were finally able to pass it. And what an amazing day that was. When we had built on the important work that had come before us, all of these years of advocacy to finally make sure that all Rhode Islanders had the right to an abortion. And I do just want to, Linda, your comments about using the word abortion, it rings so true to me. Even in my, the first time I ran for office in 2018, when developing my campaign materials, I had people say, well, do you really want to say the word abortion on your palm card? Like, are you sure you're not going to turn people off? And I was like, no, I'm sure. Like, I am 35 years old and I feel very strongly about this, and I know that other people feel strongly about it. Maybe they're not as ready to say the word, but they're not going to be offended if we use the word. And so today, the fact that we can just say it and without shame is so important. So I rambling a little bit, but I just want to say thank you to everyone for the collective effort that has been put in, and acknowledge that we still have so far to go to make sure that everybody can control every aspect of their own body and their futures for our LGBTQ plus friends and neighbors, all of it. But we will never be truly free until everybody can control themselves. So thank you very much. I want to thank Jocelyn for bringing us all here together, because it is always wonderful to be in community with all of you. Thank you.
Okay, Rep. Kassar.
Thank you so much. I too, it's my first time back in a while, so interesting to be back in the building from a different point of view. As Chairwoman Williams said, there's still a lot of work to do here, but I'm just grateful that everyone is convening, and thanks Jocelyn and to the Womxn Project for all the work you do and for bringing us together today. I want to pick up on one of the things Chairwoman Williams said, because she gave credit. She gave 5 cents of the quarter to a person who held a position of power here. And I just want to give her the 20 cents, the full 20 cents back, because I just want to be clear of what happened in 1 year from 2018 to 2019. So in 2018, the person we were referencing said he saw no urgency because he's not aware of any national efforts or court cases that threaten to overturn the landmark abortion rights decision Roe v. Wade. Quote, I don't think it's a real concern. And I just remind folks that this is a very divisive issue on both sides, and it's an issue that would utilize all the oxygen in the room, and we've got significant budget challenges. We've got the POSOX we're working on. We've got important bills that are of concern to a lot of people. The work that happens in this building is, to put it kindly, watching the sausage get made. And it's messy when you're in there, when the sausage is getting made. But Chairwoman Williams, with some other folks and some definite cheering from outside the room, it was my first year, so I didn't really know what I was doing. I was there for the party. But she went in to where the sausage was made for an entire year and turned the perspective around from this doesn't even exist to we better get it to a vote on the floor. So I just want another round of applause for that that takes a lot out of you. I negotiated very little in comparison and got a few things done in my 4 years here in this building. And it was hard on my circulatory system. It was, certainly there was like an ulcer forming if I'd stayed, all that sort of stuff. It takes a lot physically and emotionally and intellectually to do that kind of work. And so I'm just really grateful that that was done and that I had the privilege of casting a vote for the Reproductive Privacy Act. As we've been sitting here and I've been seeing folks in the room, one of the images that keeps coming to mind is of the indoor track at the PCTA. Is anybody familiar with the PCTA? Okay, yeah, see, because it's in your district. Right? So there's an indoor track here at one of the high schools in Providence, and it's basically where almost all of the indoor track meets happen for the state all winter. I raised 2 track athletes. I'm married to a track coach, so I've spent a lot of time watching children run in circles around the track. You might start to see where I'm getting. That revisiting the same issue, revisiting the same track over and over for more than 50 years is what we're doing and what we've been doing. And it's been a relay, and the baton has been passed from Rep. Kushner to Rep. Agello to Chairwoman Williams and on, so that we could get this done. And we thought it was going to be finished at some point, right? We thought this race would end like a 4x4 race. 4x4s are great. You should watch one. You can YouTube a 4x4 race. You'll know what I mean. But just watching it happen over and over in the audience, when you're a spectator, it can feel like, oh my gosh, how many laps are these people going to take? And in some ways, that's kind of what it looks like when we're looking at the fight for reproductive rights and reproductive freedom and reproductive justice. And so I think getting the elation of passing the RPA was pretty incredible. But like all political wins, there's more. And so in 2020, having the opportunity to pick up the baton with Senator Valverde to advocate for the Equality and Abortion Coverage Act was very much a privilege, and also I learned a bit about just the laps that you're doing. And sitting in the hearing rooms, hearing people say things that should never be said about pregnant people, people gaslighting, people being violent, the phone calls we took, the things that got said to our faces. And I had the privilege of having been a Planned Parenthood employee prior to being a legislator, and walking past the protesters on a regular basis before work was really something that struck me, that people don't understand just how many people are on the front lines of this fight and who don't get credit for standing up for what needs to be done to make sure that people get the health care they need. So I'm just grateful to have had the chance to get the baton from someone else, had the privilege of passing it off to others, and last year Senator Valverde and Majority Whip, what's her title? Majority Whip Kazarian took that across the finish line, except of course we know that the race is still going and the baton is going to be passed to additional people. So thank you to the Womxn Project, thank you to Planned Parenthood, thank you to the Women's Fund, thank you to the Coalition, thank you to all of the organizations and all of the individuals who cheer on from the sidelines on this never-ending relay race. We'd like it to end, but we still have a lot more work to do. So thanks for being here, thanks for listening.
So our last speaker is the perfect speaker to end this, because she's been here so long and she's taught us all so much along the way. She's a hero to so many of us, and so thank you, Edie Adela, for being here. We're going to end quickly after. I want to say thank you to, who couldn't be here, Senator Gail Golden, who is in Washington, D.C. at the moment, but she said to send her regards. And thank you to the Pembroke for sharing the quilt again with us. So once this is over, let's all go downstairs. Thank you for being here.
I kind of expected to see more pink today. Because really, I think a huge part of what got us over the finish line in 2019 with Rip Williams' bill, and in 2023 with the access legislation, was the sea of pink t-shirts, mostly worn by women, that legislators saw when they got off the elevator arriving to work every day. It was awesome. And really, we have to thank all of those people who turned out in their pink t-shirts or pink whatever. I'm wearing pink and green. Green is, I understand, the international color for reproductive rights. Pink, the national color. And I'm wearing purple because we're also celebrating International Women's Day today. So I don't often dress so colorfully. Yeah. Anyhow, no yellow. That's the color for the gun guys. Anyhow, there are so many people to thank, and it really is. It's the Barbara Colts, it's the Linda Kushners, it's the Women's Fund, it's the Woman Project, it's Planned Parenthood people over the years, year after year after year. And Anastasia Williams and I came into the Rhode Island House of Representatives together. We were both elected in 1992. So I'm in my 32nd year here. And that amazes me sometimes. But I want to get back to the word abortion. I don't remember what year it was, but there was a rally, and we were speaking, we were rallying in the rotunda, and I was called on to speak, and I don't know why, but I stood there and I told the story of my abortion before abortions were legal. And it was a really freeing thing to say the word, say I did it. I'm not embarrassed about it. One of the reasons I think that I have been involved and supportive, whether it was escorting at Planned Parenthood as patients went in to help them not pay attention to the demonstrators, or whether it was sponsoring legislation, or whether it was advocating, or whatever it was, a part of it is for that college professor, when I told him that I was pregnant and that I didn't want to be, helped me find a way to have an abortion, which was illegal then. And I, so in that way of paying it forward, I have felt it was kind of my responsibility to try and make abortion, reproductive health care legal for and accessible for all people. So clearly there are issues that remain. We need a shield law in Rhode Island to protect Rhode Island providers so that if they provide services to someone from one of those horribly backward states, we need to pass a shield law to protect doctors so that they cannot be prosecuted for providing health care for women from Texas or Alabama or wherever. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for your involvement over the years. I see so many faces that I recognize, and actually a couple of them that I don't, and that's good. That's a good sign. we're still growing the movement. And that means it's 4 o'clock and it's time for the General Assembly to start that bell. So thank you all for coming. Thank you all for your work. And thank you, Chairwoman Williams, for years of friendship and wonderful, passionate advocacy. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. If we have time, please join us down in the lower level. And I want to say again, yes, we still have a lot more work to do, and that this year takes the form of the Shield Protection Bill for gender-affirming care and abortion providers, and there'll be more work to come thereafter, as there always is. So thank you for being here, and let's go see the art.